位观众，大家好，欢迎收看《天光》最有温度的人文纪实报道，我是雅里。今天我们要带您和一位特别的世界精神领袖相遇——第14世达赖喇嘛。2011年，他宣布由政治上退休，由内阁完全执政。政教分离之后，流亡政府进入后达赖喇嘛时代。不过，这位西藏精神领袖的一言一行依旧牵动全球世人的目光。他曾说过，转世要由信众决定，也曾说过不再转世。他的转世与否似乎仍有许多变数。不过，这不管是不是世人和达赖喇嘛的最后一次相遇，在我们的专访中，达赖喇嘛特别和我们分享了生死观以及安顿身心的方式。他强调，死亡是我们生命的一部分，出生本身就是对死亡的准备。所以了解为何而活很重要，面带微笑、诚实、服务他人，过有意义的生活。如此一来，如果过几天他就会死亡，也不会后悔。
接见来自全世界的信徒民众，一一为他们祈福说法，这是西藏精神领袖达赖喇嘛每天的日常。1937年，原名拉莫顿珠的2岁幼童被认证为转世灵童后，从此披上了第14世达赖喇嘛单增加错的袈裟。1959年，中国解放军入侵西藏，达赖喇嘛在3月17号深夜离开西藏，翻越喜马拉雅山，流亡印度，落脚山城达兰萨拉，这一待就是一甲子。时而沉思，时而专注，还有不时调皮的开玩笑。赤子之心与慈悲智慧巧妙融合的人格特质，让达赖喇嘛从西藏流亡，却打开了迎向世界之门。他获得诺贝尔和平奖，成了世界偶像。他与全球领袖、名人、科学家的对谈，影响千千万万人。在接受独立特派员团队的专访中，达赖喇嘛谈台湾刚通过的病人自主权利法，笑看生死。
Death, part of our life. There is birth. Death, the birth itself, preparing death.
也谈两岸青年竞争力和西藏未来的前途。
7th century, 8th century, 9th century, three sort of independent nations, Han, Mongol, Tibet. But the past is past. Therefore, I am not seeking independence. I think that's realistic. Some sort of patient, no possibility to cure, but remain like, I say, a coma or something, and survived with a mission. Some my friends, one 7 years in coma. Very sad, because my old friend. So I visited. So no, I said, no, kasoda. Moshe meduga kage meduga.
Can't recognize.
Oh, so just remain like that. But then, okay, you see, there are friends you should look after. So, okay, no problem. But if ordinary poor family, if that kind of situation come, and then remaining family economically and many fields create a lot of difficulties, then family member have the right to decide. Okay.
So you think it's practical and realistic?
Yes, you should judge the reality situation like that. If you, as the family, can sort of support that, as I mentioned, using that my friend, a few years, then okay. But if the family not that kind of sort of situation, difficult, then family member have the right to decide. Death, part of our life. There is birth, death, the birth itself preparing death. That is part of our life. So it is important to realize sooner or later we will die. That's part of our life. Then important, while we are alive, our life should carry meaningful life. Then at the time of death, no regret. If I die next few days, no regret. I practice Buddha Dharma as much as possible, and I have some deeper experience, so I have full confidence my next life like that. And at least, you see, this life I spent quite useful, and also share Buddha Dharma to more people, and particularly those people who believe Buddha Dharma. Then it is my duty. And then non-believer, I share Buddhist psychology or these things and Kasajuti. As I mentioned earlier, you see, with scientists, I have discussion this, not as religion. These days, I'm telling the psychology and the logic and the philosophy, which you see mentioned Buddhist text, but we should not consider these are Buddhist part of Buddhism. These we should consider academic subject. So okay, logic and psychology, these things, and philosophy, I consider these I learned from Buddhist text. But the subject itself, I consider academic subject.
For normal people, for normal people, ordinary people like us, how we prepare our deaths?
Then you should carry your life more honest. And then, see, as I mentioned earlier, we are social animal. So you should take care. So your surrounding, your neighbors, people, take care. Even just word or some sort of say hello, and my own practice. Whenever I met people, I always smile. That's also good. Sometimes you see, I always is smiling. something stranger come. I never met people, they try to introduce themselves. I feel no use. So long we saw human face. That's the best way to introduce. That's human being. 2 eyes. If third eye there, then you have to introduce because of something strange. Like that. So therefore, you see, I always see show a smile. And if sometimes you see people, the other person, not smiling back, then I tackle. Kasa, tackle sabe, ka, tickle. So that creates the sort of group with warm feeling. So if possible to serve other, if not, at least resist humming. Then at the end of our life, you will not have regret. And religiously, these things are good karma, good action. There is some imprint of this action. Action, you see, within short period, action, you see, cease. But the imprint of this action remain on deeper level of consciousness. So that deeper level of consciousness, from this life, next life. So there's certain positive imprint in subtle mind will affect next life. Yes, it's no problem. Some time back, you see, in East India, I visited East India. So one politician, so he also is there, so he joined with me. Within, I think, for 5 days, we become very close friends. Then one morning, he asked me, when we met, he asked me, how is your sleep? How is your rest? Then I told him, no worry. I always 9 hours sleep, always. Then 4 hours meditation, sharpening my mind so that I can cheat other people more easily. Then he responds, oh, he only 6 hours sleep, so he cannot cheat other people. Very nice, isn't it? Very nice. So that mainly, you see, depend peace of mind. Too much anxiety, too much desire, too much anger, then sleep reduce, destroy. So
even young children, they cannot sleep now. A lot of hospital, they have a sleep center to receive all these people, even child under 12, they cannot sleep well. So
that I don't know. 不许你快要考我是？这可以呢。噶。That I don't know. Maybe some genes from parent. Parent is too much worry. Maybe they have some. So my parent, especially my mother, very peaceful, very compassionate. So I'm son of that kind of mother.
So we need to prepare parents first.
I think parents may be some effect. I think the children in the home, the parent say not too much stress and sometimes quarrel. Then I think even child before speaking, they can read parents' face, smiling, happy face, some impact in their mind. Parent quarrel, angry face, some sort of impact. So one occasion, meeting with scientists, one scientist said, in order to prove basic human nature is more compassionate, he showed one sort of motion picture. 6-month-old child, language not yet developed. Then to show that 6-month-old child, one cartoon. In the cartoon, you see 2 young child smiling, helping each other. And that part of cartoon showing that a young child smiling, express joyful. Then the same cartoon, 2 children, negative attitude each other. When that saw by the 6-month-old child, the child was itself, you see, not happy. So I think the child, even you see, language not yet developed, but they can see parents' face and they can feel the atmosphere in the home. That also makes some differences. You know, the mental state, when sensorial consciousness fully function, the mental state, one level. Then during sleep, the sensorial consciousness not working. So at that time, the mental level deeper. Then sleep without dream, deep sleep, further deeper. Then, like coma, or at the time of death, the deepest consciousness then develop. So there are some practice, you say, how to control your sleep. Like that.
接着，我们要和达赖喇嘛来聊一聊两岸年轻人的竞争力。经常有人将中国年轻人比喻为狼性，而把台湾年轻人比喻为阳性，认为台湾下一代的竞争力薄弱。不过，看两岸年轻人的竞争力，达赖喇嘛强调，竞争力和慈悲心一点都不冲突。他说，带有慈悲心的竞争是可能的，表现出对他人的关心。 同时，为了激励别人更努力，企图成为第一名或名列前茅，是真诚的善良动机。但是，我相信大家一定很好奇哦，到底要怎么样才能做到带着慈悲的竞争呢？我们来听听达赖喇嘛怎么说。
Materialistic life, materialistic society never pay attention about inner value. So the communist, just materialistic thinking. So I think eventually they will realize the importance of inner value. Nowadays in America and Europe, including scientists, more and more people now showing interest about our deeper value. So one time, I think, in the early part of 20th century, I think people very much excited the material development. Now later, at that time, I think scientists, they do not accept beside brain, there's some we call mind. They do not accept. The later part of 20th century, now number of scientists begin to realize beside brain there is something which affects our brain. So now some scientists now already develop certain sort of the program to further investigation the different level of mind. And particularly, I think Moscow University, some Russian scientists, they not only just express, now they already decided, they set up one small sort of the some lab in South India to further investigation. So now more and more scientists now really showing interest like that. I think competition with compassion possible, sense of concern of other. And meantime, in order to show other more hard work, you see, you try to be first or drop. That's good. It's sincere, good motivation in order to lead other people, in order to show them reach top. That sense of competition is good. Then another sense of competition, in order to you reach first, create problem to other. That sense of competition is wrong. These religious people also part of human being. Number one, we have to think the more compassionate humanity through education. That's our number one, the top priority. I myself, I always consider I'm one of the 7 billion human beings. So my number one commitment is try to create 7 billion human beings more compassionate, and through not religion, through education. That's my number one commitment. Then number two commitment, I think in America, as far as I know, some cities, they give the name of the city, city of compassion. And within the city, the school, you see, more activities about compassion. Result, student much more peaceful and ready to serve other people. So education makes differences. Now recently I met some American friend. Now some of them, you see, now again, you see, now thinking in education, they should include education about compassion, like that. Not as a religion, but you see, they, knowledge how to create individual more happy, and then family more happy, then community. So that's number one. Then people who come from that kind of education, then eventually you see more conviction about these deeper human value. Then all different religious traditions carry that message. then religion is additional sort of method to increase, you see, these basic human value. For example, Christianity. You see, when they explain God, God's infinite love, and we all children of one God. So, if you strictly believe these things, seriously believe these things, and implement our daily life, then entire 7 billion human beings come from one Father, God. So we all children of God. If God, angry God, then something different. Then nobody say that. God is full of love. So we are children of that kind of Father. So if you seriously think the Christianity, wonderful. Then Islam, same. Then Buddhism, you see, no concept of creator, but Buddhism, ourself, self-creation. So our sort of life, happy life, entirely depend on our own action. Action helping other, restraint harming other. For that, training of our mind, more compassionate mind. That's Buddha's teaching. So all these religions, if the people, if the person have some sort of interest about these inner value, then all these different religious traditions are very useful, very helpful. And these religion can be a proper way of religion. Otherwise, you see too much sort of negative emotion. Then religion also, you see, used for fighting, for killing.
But Your Holiness.
So my number 2 commitment is promotion of religious harmony. And I have sort of full conviction it is possible. Look, India, over 1 billion population, a complicated country. As far as religious harmony, it's wonderful. India exists, all major world religious tradition exist here. That recently developed, not only that, but over 2,000 years. So all these different religious traditions, you see, live together harmoniously. So just this morning I heard, you see, shooting in New Zealand. One mosque, some people shooting. India, there are so many mosques, so many church, and of course Hindus, Jains, and Buddhists we never heard. So religious harmony here, so it is possible, religious harmony. So I have full conviction religious harmony is possible. So my number 2 commitment is promotion of religious harmony. Our negligence, as I already mentioned, you see, about inner value. So that's the cause of this conflict. Like that. And then, or then the 3rd commitment, I'm Tibetan. The Tibetan people trust me. Then regarding Tibetan problem or Tibetan issue, the political matter, I already retired since 2001. We already achieved elected political leadership. They carry. So, previously, about 4 centuries, Dalai Lama institution is head of both temporal and spiritual. That I feel the feudal system, outdated. So now democracy is the best. So, since my childhood, I love democracy. So I don't like Dalai Lama institution who also have the power of political thing. That's, I think, backward. So in India, since 2001, voluntarily, happily, proudly, and not only myself retired, but also 4th century old tradition now cease. Then, as a Tibetan, and Tibetan people trust me, so my main concern is preservation of Tibetan culture, Tibetan knowledge. Knowledge since 8th century, the Tibetan king invited at that time, there was the one best scholar of Nalanda, invited. His name Shantarakshita. He, great philosopher, great logician. So he introduced Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition. So we generally, Tibetan, spent 20-30 years study. So, so today, actually, I think Nalanda tradition, that rich sort of because of the tradition, psychology. In psychology, now compare quantum physics. One Indian nuclear physicist once told me, in the West, quantum physics is something new. But in this country, 2,600 years ago, already developed quantum physics. So when I discuss with the modern quantum physicist, sometimes it seems my knowledge is better. because we are students of these traditions, so study like that. And then logic. The genuine sort of the student of Nalanda tradition, we never say yes, no. Any sort of, even including Buddha's own teaching, we immediate reaction is why? Oh, not yes.
So why is very important.
Oh.
Always ask why.
Yes. Because you see, the Nalanda tradition, Buddha himself, you should express, oh, my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. That's very scientific. So sometimes I describe Nalanda tradition of Buddha Dharma is very scientific. So we can work with modern scientists and the mutual learning. My own experience last now nearly 40 years, I have serious discussion with scientists in different fields, cosmology, neurobiology, and then physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So sometimes I sort of express the Western psychology, Western sort of scholar of psychology, is in their knowledge. Compare ancient Indian psychology. The Western psychology looks like kindergarten level. Indian psychology, highly developed. So now, another my commitment is I'm trying to revival of this ancient Indian knowledge, including psychology. All these, our knowledge come from India. So India's tradition. So recent centuries, India neglected. I think the previous Indian generation I think too much attraction towards the Western education, Western technology, Western science. I think not only Indian, but you also.
Yes.
Yes.
面对现今的媒体乱象，还有假新闻充斥，媒体，尤其是公共媒体，应该扮演什么样的角色呢？达赖喇嘛认为，人民才是国家的主人，媒体扮演了重要的角色，因此不能够用官方的宣传来代替讯息或对人民洗脑，切合实际、科学、说真话是非常重要的。而对领导人，他也特别建议，领导人应该多思考慈悲心。作为一位领袖，要具有长远而且全面的观点，不能够执着在狭隘的观点。在专访中，达赖喇嘛不断地强调，让更多人能有慈悲心是他的首要任务。不过，慈悲心如何透过情绪净化还有教育达成呢？继续是我们的专访。
I think you yourself, ourselves, when I was meeting some people, and particularly now since I become refugee, then no problem. But when I was in Tibet, meeting with Chinese communist officials, then sometimes in deep feeling, so I should not agree their sort of view. But from mouth I say, oh, wonderful, 是的. So that's a lie.
It's white lie or lie?
Lie. With some purpose. Oh, you see, in order to save peaceful, closer relation, then sometimes you say I have to tell lie, but sincere motivation, that's okay. Under certain circumstances, you see, lie, okay. Buddha also, you see, stated, the purpose and motivation is more important. So I think I want to tell you, while I was in Peking in 1954 and 55, at least 6 months I spent in Peking. I met several occasions with Chairman Mao Zedong. So my the expression, Mao Zedong felt I'm truly scientific-minded. So then Mao Zedong, last meeting, Mao Zedong told me religion is opium, poison. I think, in some extent, I think I cheated Mao Zedong.
Are you cheating?
말왜 cheated 말왜 내가 지시할 때가 매매 소식 패지 Mao Zedong 패지 통계보다 더. So in any way, sincere motivation, then no problem. So then of course, and also you see, I love Marxism, Marxistry. In Europe, industrialization started. Workers suffer a lot. So the ruling people, including queens and kings, is too much exploitation. So Karl Marx stand up. You see, fight for right of the workers. And then he also, you see, his economic theory is equal distribution. So, socio-economic theory is concerned, I'm Marxist. Still, I believe. But then communism the Bolshevik Revolution, Lenin, I think, transformed Marxism totalitarian system, because the circumstances when Lenin carried Bolshevik Revolution, the civil war, very serious civil war, and also Western Europe negative attitude. So Lenin's mentality more militant. So Marxism as an ideology, but the reality is too much control and ruthless suppression and no freedom of speech. These are wartime relevant, but that eventually become part of the communism or something like that. So we have to, as I mentioned earlier, you see, we have to think everything. Why? This happened, why? This happened, why? Oh. So I feel that way. So now, truth, honest, you yourself check. You see, when you start, start to say something, but one part of your mind say, "Oh, this is not true," but about you see to tell that way, then you should restrain. I should not tell lie. And that also is a selfish reason. We need friendship. We are a social animal. We are friendship. Friendship is very important. In order to develop friendship, trusted friend, trust, very important. In order to develop trust, money, power will not develop trust. Trust, you show them your sort of concern of their well-being, seriously, sincerely, then trust will come. So these, you see, nowadays we can see there are sort of very powerful people, but telling sometimes lies. So people don't like. People who always tell honestly, truthfully, people love. So your own selfish reason, you should tell truth. Transparency, that's important. Media, in modern time, and particularly democratic sort of society, media very important. I always was telling, the world belongs to 7 billion human beings, not kings or queens or lamas or spiritual leader. And then each country actually belongs to the people of that country. So reality, people are the ruler of the country. So people should know what is the reality, what is happening. So media, very, very important role. Now since media important role in the society, so the information, not like propaganda or brainwash, not that way, realistic or scientific, so truthful is very important. Leadership, I think human being, as I already mentioned, is a social animal. The leadership should think more compassion. And as a leader, long, far-sighted, and holistic view is important. The leader, I want this, just one, sort of focusing, just sort of narrow. It's not good. The world, now today's world, Eastern depend Western, Western similar, and North, South. And on top of that, global warming, no differences of national border or religious sort of differences. Whole world now facing some new sort of situation, global warming. And then global economy, no national boundary. So that's today's reality. Now we should think according to the new reality. We should not think the 20th century's thinking, my nation, their nation. At that time, more or less, you see different interest, or sometimes there's a conflict of interest, my nation, their nation. Now today's world, that no longer exists. So more holistic and far-sightedness, that's important. My view is, last, I think 1 or 2 centuries, people pay much attention for material development and education, which mainly oriented about material value. Now, when these things started, I think people believe material development brings happiness to humanity. But now, we can witness on this planet a lot of problems, a lot of killing. Yes. Even religion, which carry a message of love, forgiveness, tolerance, that also now become source of conflict. Because you see, our whole sort of way of life, materialistic life, do not know how to develop inner peace. Without inner peace, full of anger, jealousy, then you see these problems happen. Now here, some scientists, they say basic human nature is more compassionate. It is quite recent, quite obvious. Everybody is born from our mother. Then next, I think at least a few years, without mother's affection, we can't survive. So our very life, 7 billion human beings, come that way. Then children, when they are young, they don't care what is their religion, what is their nationality, play together. Once they join education, then that basic human nature, human compassion, sense of oneness of human being. The child, yes, oneness. Many years ago, I visited on Switzerland, the so-called children's village. Children's village. So I noticed one Palestinian children, the children of Jews, live together, play together. So that's human nature. Then in education, we emphasize we are Jew, or they are Palestine, then distance. So, I think, in spite basic human nature more compassionate, and basic human nature is social animal. Individuals' sort of life depend on the community. Without community, one individual, no matter how rich, how powerful, cannot survive. So our survival depends on the community, because we are social animal. So therefore, the basic human nature like that, but in spite of that, now human being is too much sort of emphasis they and we and like that, and then causing killing. So this I feel the existing education not adequate.
So
Just oriented about material value. With that, how say they, power, like that. So now education should include, these days I telling, the hygiene of physical in our education there, from kindergarten. Now similarly, we need hygiene of emotion. It is very important.
emotional education.
No, in the education, beside regarding sort of physical sort of healthy, we must include education how to develop healthy mind. Not based on religion. Now, religion automatically, you see, carry the teaching of love, forgiveness, tolerance, these things. But in education, I think we should tell children, according scientific finding, constant anger, constant stress is very bad for our health. That's now scientists say. And basic human nature, as I mentioned earlier, compassionate nature. So these are the not religious teaching, but scientifically, they notice that. So these are, and then children, their own experience. I think student, the class where teacher showing smile, and you see make friendship, student. I think student, when you start that class, I think student very happy. Another class teacher always showing angry face, negative face. I don't think you see student happy to attend that sort of class. So these are the basic, we can explain these things according to our nature, sort of also the situation. And then on top of that, based on scientific finding.
除了达赖喇嘛专访外，我们还要带您深入达兰萨拉，关心流亡藏人的现况、流亡政府的运作，以及后达赖喇嘛时代流亡政府即将面临的挑战。曙光划破黑暗，谢谢您收看天光，我是雅里，我们下次见。